Come with me, not just as a traveler, but as a seeker of stories and echoes from the past. We're about to embark on a journey to the edge of memory, where the present blurs into the shadows of history. Our destination is Kazakhstan, a land where the sky stretches endlessly above rolling steppes, and the wind carries secrets from centuries past. But this adventure is about more than breathtaking scenery or vast, open spaces. We're searching for the ghost towns of Kazakhstan, silent cities and forgotten villages where the walls still echo with the laughter, hopes and struggles of those who once called them home. Picture yourself standing on a dusty road, the wind whistling through shattered windows, surrounded by empty buildings that seem to whisper stories of a different time. These places were once alive, bustling with families, miners, soldiers and scientists, each with their own dreams and daily routines. Now, they stand empty, powerful reminders of both the resilience and fragility of human life and the relentless passage of time. This journey isn't about searching for gold or riches, but about discovering the human stories etched into these abandoned places, stories that still linger in the air and in the stones. Every crumbling wall, every faded photograph is a piece of a larger puzzle, one that reveals both grand historical events and the small, intimate moments that made up everyday life. We'll walk these empty streets, letting our imaginations fill the silence with the voices and footsteps of those who once lived here. It's a rare chance to connect with a history that feels both distant and strangely close, a history that shaped not just this land, but the world beyond. So, pack your curiosity and your sense of wonder. We're stepping into a world few ever see, a world frozen in time, waiting to be rediscovered. This isn't a typical holiday or a simple sightseeing trip, it's something deeper, a journey into the heart of memory itself. We'll explore silent witnesses to a forgotten era, from the haunting shores of a shrinking sea to the desolate remains of a nuclear testing ground, places that have seen both hope and heartbreak. These towns are mysterious, sometimes eerie, but there's a haunting beauty in their silence, and in the wildflowers that bloom through cracked pavement. They teach us about loss, about the passage of time, and about the importance of remembering those who came before us. So let's begin our journey into Kazakhstan's forgotten past, and see what stories these silent towns are waiting to share. To understand why these towns are empty, we have to look back in time, to an era when the world map was being redrawn, and the future seemed full of promise. These empty streets and silent buildings are not just relics of the past, they are echoes of grand ambitions and dreams that once filled the air. We must first ask why they were built at all. What drove planners and leaders to carve entire towns out of the vast, empty steppe? The answer lies in the vision of a powerful state determined to shape not just the land, but the very lives of its people. Many of these towns sprang up almost overnight, the result of Soviet plans drawn in distant, bustling offices. Decisions made far away would forever change the landscape of Kazakhstan, as blueprints became reality at a breathtaking pace. These were frontier towns, symbols of progress and the Soviet dream, built in some of the most remote corners of Kazakhstan. They stood as outposts of civilization surrounded by endless grasslands and open sky. Most revolved around a single industry, mining, military, or science. Each town had a purpose, a reason for being, and everything was built to serve that mission. Some, like Zhaltyr, were gold mining hubs where the earth was torn open in search of precious metals that would fuel the Soviet economy. Others were secret military cities, hidden from maps and shrouded in secrecy, where only those with special clearance could enter. Scientists, soldiers, and their families lived and worked on top-secret projects, their daily lives intertwined with the fate of the nation. Behind closed gates, they formed tight-knit communities, bound by secrecy and shared purpose. Life was often good, modern apartments, schools, hospitals, and a promise of stability. For many, these towns offered comforts and opportunities that were rare elsewhere. People came from across the vast Soviet Union, drawn by opportunity, adventure, and the hope of a better life. Trains brought families from distant republics, each carrying their own traditions and dreams. They built new communities from scratch, blending cultures and languages in these isolated outposts. Over time, a unique identity emerged, one that was both Soviet and distinctly local. There was pride in their work and hope for the future. Every new building, every school and playground was a testament to their collective effort and belief in progress. These towns weren't just buildings, they were living, breathing communities full of laughter, daily routines, and shared celebrations. Parks, cinemas, and playgrounds echoed with laughter. The sounds of children playing and families gathering filled the air, creating memories that would last a lifetime. For a time, these towns were beacons of modernity and Soviet strength, shining examples of what the future could hold. But this prosperity was fragile, built on shifting sands and dependent on forces far beyond the towns themselves. The winds of change were coming, slow at first, then unstoppable, bringing uncertainty and upheaval. These towns, once symbols of ambition and unity, would soon face an uncertain fate as the world around them changed forever. Their story is one of hope, unity, and eventual loss, a reminder of how quickly dreams can fade, and how even the brightest communities can be forgotten. The era of thriving outposts was about to end, leaving behind only memories and the silent testimony of empty streets. The dream that built these towns began to unravel, slowly at first, then all at once. What was once a symbol of hope and progress started to crumble under the weight of forces far beyond the control of the people who lived here. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 was the turning point. Overnight, the world changed for millions. The central government that had planned, funded, and maintained these towns simply vanished, leaving a vacuum that no one was prepared to fill. With Moscow's support gone, jobs and supplies vanished overnight. Factories that had once provided steady work shut their gates and store shelves emptied, leaving families to wonder how they would survive the coming winter. Factories closed, mines shut down, military bases abandoned. The infrastructure that had sustained entire communities was left to decay, and the sense of security people once felt disappeared. Residents faced a stark choice: stay in a dying town or leave everything behind. For many, the decision was agonizing, tearing families apart as some stayed behind while others sought new beginnings elsewhere. Most had no real choice. They left. Trains and buses filled with people carrying only what they could, heading into an uncertain future, hoping to find work and stability somewhere else. Environmental disasters also played a role. Decades of mismanagement and neglect left the land scarred, making life even harder for those who remained. The Aral Sea's shrinking turned fishing towns like Aralsk into deserts. What was once a thriving port became a barren wasteland, with boats stranded miles from the water's edge. Boats stranded on dry land, industries collapsed, and health problems soared. Dust storms carried toxic chemicals, and the loss of livelihoods forced even more people to leave. The exodus was slow and painful. Families left, schools closed, hospitals emptied. Each departure marked the end of an era, and the community grew smaller with every passing year. Those who stayed watched their world fade away, one neighbor at a time. The bonds that once held the community together unraveled, leaving only memories and silence. The silence grew heavier as the community disappeared. Streets that once echoed with laughter and life became empty, haunted by the ghosts of the past. It was a lonely, heartbreaking experience. The sense of loss was everywhere, in empty homes and overgrown yards, in the eyes of those who remained. These towns, once full of life, became monuments to loss. Their buildings stand as silent witnesses to dreams that were never fully realized. The reasons for leaving were many, but the result was the same: emptiness. The echoes of the past linger, but the future remains uncertain. The story of these towns is a story of dreams undone by history and nature. Their silence speaks volumes, a reminder of how quickly everything can change and how deeply those changes are felt. Visiting these ghost towns is like stepping into another world. The silence is profound, broken only by the wind sighing through empty doorways. The vast Kazakh steppe stretches endlessly, making these towns feel like lonely islands. In Aralsk, rusting ships rest on dry land, a surreal monument to a lost sea. In Zhaltyr, abandoned factories stand as rusting giants. Nature is reclaiming everything. Plants push through pavement, birds nest in rafters. The atmosphere is thick with melancholy and memory. Small details, a child's shoe, a faded curtain, remind you real lives were lived here. The emptiness is both physical and emotional. Yet there's a strange peace in the stillness. Without modern noise, you notice the play of light, the call of birds, the slow return of nature. These places humble you, reminding us that even the grandest projects return to dust. The landscape of abandonment is haunting, beautiful, and thought-provoking. Here history lingers in every shadow. Step inside an abandoned building and you enter a world frozen in time. Personal belongings remain, tables set for meals, books gathering dust. Each object is a ghostly fragment of a life interrupted. In schools, children's drawings still cling to walls, textbooks lie open, chalk rests on blackboards. Sometimes gas masks remind us of the Cold War's shadow. Apartment blocks are like vertical tombs, peeling wallpaper, faded photo marks, forgotten toys. It feels intrusive, yet creates a powerful connection to those who lived here. The decay itself has a strange beauty, peeling paint, rust patterns, sunlight streaming through holes. Artists and photographers are drawn to this beauty of decay, but it's a beauty tinged with sadness, a reminder that all we build is temporary. These buildings are slowly surrendering to nature. They are visual metaphors for fading memory. What remains is both haunting and deeply human. In these ruins, the past lingers, waiting to be remembered. Every abandoned place has its stories, and Kazakhstan's ghost towns are no exception. Locals share tales, strange lights in windows, ghostly music on the wind, soldiers still guarding empty bases. Around the Semipalatinsk test site, stories turn harrowing, memories of nuclear tests, health problems, and invisible dangers. Personal stories are just as powerful. An old miner recalling camaraderie, a father pointing to the building where his children were born. These stories transform ruins into living communities, if only for a moment. Legends and memories keep these towns alive in the region's collective memory. They remind us these were real places, inhabited by real people. Listening to these tales, we become keepers of their memory. Exploring these places is a unique thrill, a sense of discovery in a world left behind. Every creaking door, every shaft of light immerses you in the environment. You're not just a tourist, you're part of the story, piecing together the past. The ruins spark imagination, echoes of music, laughter, and life. Respect and caution are essential. These are fragile places, not theme parks. The silence and solitude are powerful, offering rare moments of reflection. Here you connect with the passage of time and the endurance of memory. It's a meditative, humbling experience. Visiting a Kazakh ghost town is an emotional journey. Sadness lingers in the silence and decay, a respectful grief for lost communities. Yet there's wonder in the haunting beauty of nature reclaiming what was built. You marvel at human ambition and nature's resilience. Empathy grows as you imagine the lives once lived here, their hopes, fears, and heartbreak. This connection transforms ruins into a deeply human experience. History becomes personal, not just dates and events. These towns remind us of the impermanence of all things. They encourage us to value the present and reflect on our own legacy. The dust of these towns teaches us about the fragility of our world. As our journey ends, the echoes of these forgotten places remain. Kazakhstan's ghost towns are more than ruins. They're vital historical documents. Preserving their memory honors those who lived, worked, and dreamed here. We don't need to rebuild them. Their power lies in honest decay. Through stories, photos, and respectful visits, we keep their lessons alive. These towns teach us about resilience, loss, and the human cost of change. As long as we remember and share their stories, their memory endures. Let's never forget the soul of these silent towns.